This conference will now be recorded.
What I want to do now is open up the Board of Commissioners, for discussion, not debate, discussion. If you got it, something you want to say, now it's time to say it. Mr. Cameron asked, could you go first? So I'll recognize Mr. McKeel.
Just to my commissioners and those gathered, I feel like I maybe opened up a can of worms that was unintentional. I just wanted to kind of let you all know what took place. How we got to a map 6. Got an email as to all the commissioners that just said, there's some maps, go by and look at them, make suggestions. And the big maps are hard to tell where streets are going. We don't draw the maps, obviously. We make suggestions and the maps are drawn. I looked at it, thought, looks good to me. I was fine with leaving things the way they were, but obviously we had to shift things. So as I started to walk away, I just mentioned, I said, hey, I mean, what's the potential of bringing Baytree in with White Lake? And, you know, almost like if you drove through downtown Elizabethtown and say, hey, I think some pansies would look good on the street corner planted in a pot. That was the extent of that. I'm not smart enough to make it a political savvy move or whatever, and people scoff at it or whatever. That's how we got to where we are. That was it. It's not a hill on which to die for me. I think Mr. Danny made a great point. We're going to represent folks across the county no matter where they are. I got to spend some time in council the other day, more than I've ever been. I love that area. I'm going to represent them. I mean, you know, so I agree totally with that. But I do want to just make sure everybody understands for what it's worth. My integrity means a whole lot to me. And the idea that this was somehow a racially motivated thing, or, I mean, it literally was an off-the-cuff remark. Well, what about bringing Baytree into White Lake? Mainly because of the sewer issues that we're going through. So, again, if it works to have Baytree in the map and the numbers work, so be it. If it doesn't, so be it. I just want what's best for our citizens. And so, thank you for allowing me to share.
Anyone else? Mr.
The only suggestions I've had with draft number 2 since we had our last meeting, Happy Valley Road has always been in District 3. That was brought to my attention. And also there were some folks on Broad Street that they have always been in District. I don't know. We want to look at that. But as far as the rest of it, as far as that number 2, that would be the only feedback I've heard is from those 2 areas.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I have a couple. The first thing is, and I recognize the issue that Baytree leaks out. And after talking with them, the issue with the sewer, I was aware of this issue already. But I explained to them also the issue with East Arcadia sewer. Because they don't have them and they need assistance. And their property is, the water table is so high, they can't use their property, can't farm. A lot of them have lost their farms because of the same issue, but haven't gotten any help. It's tough. Then we had the issue with Kelly. They have an issue. Tuckamore, White Low, when it comes to Comore. Every community, every town, everyone has issues. And I explained to them about each one of them, every small town or community, each has 5 representations, represented by at least 5 individuals on the board. And they have the same opportunity to be elected on those same 5 positions. So it's not like we're leaving them out. If you reckon there in District 1, it does. And if they have issue with sewer, I'm going to represent them as if I was representing East Arcadia. A lot of them were not there. I was, like I told them, I'm familiar with the folks in Baytree. Some of them. I've worked with several of them. I've gone to their homes, but none of them were there. Maybe you weren't here there either in 2005. Okay, so in the early 2000s. So just because they don't see me and didn't know my face, I'm on this board, my picture's around. So it's just like they represent, they know that Cardell's there representing. Mr. Bullock, Mr. Britt, everyone else, you, Dr. Ellis, everyone else, we represent everyone in Bladen County. We're just elected in one district, but we represent all. Thank you.
The only thing that, when I looked at the maps and I was trying to view it, and when I seen so many maps coming and readjusted maps, over the 30 years that I have lived, this is the third time I have seen these maps go into a transition. And they have always historically had a precedent where they were tweaked to a point that you would just annex areas that were closely adjoined to adjust population. Because Bay Creek Lake has been adjusted in, been adjusted out. Alpha been adjusted in, adjusted out. But what they would always do would go out and just catch areas in close proximity and align them to make up the difference in that drop in population or increase. There's been times when they have come into District 1 and removed some people out of District 1 and put them in District 3. Those people had the same issue. But this being not close proximity where we would just, they were always just aligning real closely, where people wouldn't feel uncomfortable that you get ready to put me in District 2 in Bladen, and they've been accustomed to being in the Elizabethtown sector of the county. So they always would do it in close proximity. So I'm just saying the map 2 is just consistent with the way it has been done historically ever since the three districts were created based on the census tract.
Mr. Bullock?
I was gonna say one thing, I understand Bay Tree Lake's concerns and so forth, but I received a text message, text message about 3 days ago. They were asking me, it's from Tar Heel, who was their representative. So I gave them 5 people's names. The ones that run countywide, and Mr. Ellis and Dr. Ellis and Bill McGill. I gave them their names. I said, you got 5 representatives. And, but they, someone was saying, Bay Tree Lake was saying that they didn't know who their representatives were. I think I've heard something similar to that. Might not be quoting it correct, but we all represent everybody. But I did give them those 5 names. I don't know what they wanted, but they asked who represented the Tar Heel area. So I gave them those 5 names. Thanks, sir.
Mr. Ellis?
I was gonna say, I appreciate and respect everybody's comments about all of this, because I know it is, kind of, and I respect also Cameron, Pastor McGill gave me a call the other day and kind of explained, also how it came about, because I think at first when we went to the meeting, which, Charles Ray had brought up in our meeting that, look, there's gonna be a possibility or a suggestion of a map or some different type things going on. So thank you for calling that, making it transparent about the idea about Bay Tree. But one thing I think about with Bay Tree, and even kind of listening to what they're saying, it seems, sewer obviously is a hot topic. My big thing is changing that representation all of a sudden. I don't know that's going to be a means to an end. And we were talking about it a moment ago that all of a sudden something's going to be done immediately for their sewer. We don't, and I don't know as much about it maybe as some of you do, but we don't have, it's not like all of a sudden we're going to go out there and start running sewer lines and hook them up and then, the stench is going to be gone tomorrow. So in that regard, I know they're frustrated. I know that, like a gentleman was bringing up a moment ago, there are a lot of nice homes out there. There's no question about it. A lot of individuals out there that love Bladen County. I mean, I think that particular gentleman drives an hour and a half back and forth just to get here every day. So you got to respect that. I mean, he loves the county, so obviously we'd love to do everything we can to help them, but I don't know I don't know all of a sudden them being in 3, if that's going to kind of answer their sewer concern, I guess is that's just my only chain of thought. But I guess my only other thing was, if considering Bay Tree, then I've had some conversations with some other commissioners that, we do go out and we take a large chunk of Abbotsford. And of course, I don't think there's anybody here tonight, but didn't hear any commentary about that, but it seems to be kind of eye for eye kind of move or something like that. But that was just my thoughts about the other map proposals. So,
Mr. Bruce?
I listen to every side, and I listen to the community out here about Mr. Bullock. What I gathered and what I observed from the Bay Tree group, and of course I've been privy to hearing it a lot from coming into my store, some of them customers. So I take the time to listen to what they say. What I gather from it is to keep talking White Lake and them working together. Personally, you know, we're the county. If them and White Lake can work together and make something happen and come across the county property, God bless them, you know. I'm willing to see success, especially in that manner, when it's a sewer issue. And personally, with that being said, I would love to see another map, with Mr. Bullock being where he's at, obviously. And looking at the situation to appease them, and if they can work together, like they discussed White Lake and Bay Tree, of course, all we heard is Bay Tree. I hadn't heard the White Lake part from them. But allow them the opportunity. But, you know, and consider both sides of that. I would love to see another map, is what I'm saying. With, maybe they've done some talk. Personally.
But you're saying to work together, they can work together in two different districts. They don't have to be in the same district to work together.
We're not debating, we're just going.
I'm just making a
Everybody's
comment. That's my comment.
Well,
Only thing I want to say is that if they have an issue and they figure like they can work with White Lake, ain't White Lake annex them? They won't have all the districts, but they can be, they won't, I mean, is that possible they can be annexed by the city?
that's
That's
their business.
another.
I know,
business.
I'm saying, is that possible though?
Because the only thing that, when I hear the situation with an area being pulled out for they saying for needs and for services, if we open this Pandora box, you have to be ready to open this for everybody. If the other guys can come at it, all of a sudden they'll have the same issue. I can work better with District 2 or District 3. And you get ready to open up a Pandora box where if you can do it for one, we got to be in a position that whenever it comes in, you can do it for everybody. Because everybody can come back with the same issues. And I'm saying we just need to make sure that when we set precedents on what we're doing, it's something that we can live with and make those kind of adjustments.
Again,
I think what I've taken away from the last month, is that it's a shame that we're having to do what we're having to do because our population has decreased. So when this is all said and done, I believe everybody's going to be fine, whatever the outcome. But I'd love to see us figure out how in 10 years from now, we're sitting here trying to figure out, or whoever sitting on this board is trying to figure out what are we going to do with all these new people that have moved to our community. Because that's the real travesty here is that we have a declining population, so we're having to go through this process in the first place. So again, I don't think those folks are going to fall out and move out of Bladen County if they're not in District 3. We got numbers that we have to deal with, so.
And I think my only comment I have to say is, and I think two of you made that comment, that the census is what charged, what charged us to make this decision. The 1,500 that were lower in District 1 that had to be balanced. And it really means that we need to move groups or sections of people into District 1. And in the past, that's what they did. To balance out the district, they either move people in or move out. But, and I'm like Mr. Condell, you will open the Pandora's box if you start saying, okay, I'll move this group in and move them in. But the need was only to bring in. It was never to move people out, just to bring people in. But of course, yeah, you got to move out one to balance it. But only to make that, the correction on District 1. So the shift people in and out of District 2, shift in and out different groups into District 3. It will cause, I think, more of a headache than we're willing to deal with.
I want to make one last comment. I do know a gentleman that I'm just expressing a concern that, a gentleman that was just upstairs was talking about collectively as a group that, I guess in their mindset, we don't have the service, so therefore we're not going to pay the property taxes. And so I'm a little concerned about that you are, which, I know maybe I'm putting the cart before the horse, but I'm just expressing some concern that thought wave is just kind of the county doesn't have anything to really, that's not our dog in the hunt that their sewer's gone bad, but I hate for that to be the ramification that all of a sudden, property owners feel like, well, I'm just not gonna pay my property taxes. I don't have sewer, it stinks, blah, blah, blah. So that's a concern that we certainly want to do everything we can, whether, they're sucked into 3 or not brought into 3, that we want to try to amicably get those folks to understand that the county, once again, that's not our doing. I mean,
I think what's happening out
Yep.
there is, it's not as much, most of them, it's not their property taxes, it's their HOA fees and things like that. They're saying, well, because Bay Tree was responsible for providing them a sewer system, the county wasn't. So I think it's going to be detrimental to Bay Tree, because they're not going to have the fund balance to operate.
Any other comments? So I'll take my turn. I know a lot of them will leave it as close as we can to where it was. I'm not taking in Bay Tree, even though I voted for that map, but not because it puts Sophia and Arthur almost in the city limits of Bladenburg. I'm not going to give up my constituents to mine. I'm just going to be personally and say that's my way I feel. That's the way I operate. So what I would like to propose to this board tonight is that we get as close as we can to that original map with Bay Tree in 1. Move the people on both sides of 87 up there back in District 3 where they were. Move Happy Valley back into 3 where they were. Leave all 3 in 1 where he is. That's the map I'd like to propose this board to look at Friday.
Where will you pick up the extra?
I don't know yet, but it's not going to be, if you put Bay Tree back in there, it ain't going to be a whole lot of numbers to move.
Well, I'd second if that's a motion.
Well, I don't like to make motions, I'll be honest with you.
I'll make that motion then.
There's a motion on the floor, second by a motion by Mr. Gill, second by Mr. Esther, that we draw one more, we'll discuss, we'll draw one more map, and we'll decide Friday in a few minutes when we're going to meet. And it's going to be just like you said, Mr. Caudill, it's going to be basically the same thing we got right now. So is there any discussion?
Yeah. I had comments that people on Happy Valley had problems before, but even come out of 1, go into 3. I mean, 2. So, I mean, what?
They're in 3 now.
Yes, I mean, why you, but they were.
I want to leave them in 3.
Oh, okay.
I want to leave these people where they are as of right now.
One time before.
As of the old map there, they're in 3, and that's where I want to leave.
Okay. That's what, and I mean, because they were moved before. I think they were 1
They
or
were moved 10 years ago.
Yeah, and they were upset then.
Yeah.
So I understand them being the pond.
Okay.
So I don't have a problem with that, but what do you mean there's a difference? Whether that will, I know Bay Tree Lakes will stay in 1, but how many people, how many citizens we're talking about of Happy?
I don't know until I see the map, but it's not going to be a whole lot different than what y'all wanted to keep. The
No,
original
I'm
map.
not talking about, okay, and then that means those 87 will stay back in.
87 will stay in 3 where they are right now.
Okay.
How many net people do we need to make up? We know that.
That's what I just asked.
Mr. Chairman, we need to make up some in District 1, don't we?
Yeah.
And they can draw this map to do that, and we'll look at it Friday. If you're not happy with it, you can vote to it. These maps are still on the table.
But what I'm saying, that we're trying to avoid doing something. And these maps have flipped and flopped like this over the last 30 years to make numbers match. If you come in now and start tweaking that map again, all you get ready to do is you're going to change the boundary where it's going to have to go toward District 3 and take some folks out of District 3 somewhere. They're going to have to come out somewhere. And you have to go get some out of District 2. They're going to have to come out. There's no other way of getting them. District 1 doesn't have them. So you can't get them out of District 1.
That's just, the motion's on the floor to look at the map. Mr. Cogsdale, that's exactly what I'm trying to do, exactly what you asked to do. Keep them as close as we can as they are today, and that's what this will do. We'll look at it Friday. I got a motion on the floor in a second. Any more discussion?
Just one thing. There was a comment made, a lady that drew the map that kind of stuck out to me, and she said, well, I really don't know the area. And so somebody needs to, rather than just her sitting there and drawing a map, somebody needs to at least give her some guidance on that to make sure that the minority numbers still match and work and those kind of things.
Well, they'll have to match. When she gets her map, they'll have to match.
And I don't mean to put this comment, if she doesn't know the job, know the district, need to find somebody else that can do their job without, I'm not saying that she doesn't know it, but if she can't find the resources and work with someone, then we probably need to find another agency, an organization that's in the future to do our math.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Bullock.
but at night she was here, she did say that someone else assisted her.
Man,
And that she
She
really,
lives in Bladen County, she lives in Bladen.
right,
yeah.
man,
I just say for her to pull in, it would just be plain language here. If she brought in 1,500 white folk, then it's going to throw the numbers off, right? So
Okay, that's right.
we
You
factor
started
that.
out. But the thing I'm telling you, I have looked at the maps closely. And I've seen what they did with number 2. I've seen how they went in and moved that area in number 2. And they did what has been customarily done to get those numbers right. If you start shipping away from District 2 and going to find 400 or 500 people from Bay Creek or from wherever you're gonna ship them from, you're gonna ship that map completely out of whack right there. You're gonna have, it's gonna be jagged up again, and we're gonna have more folks in here wanting to have a public hearing about us shipping. They did that with that map. If you look at the maps and the streets geographically, they went in and took apartment complex, they took Swansea Ridge, they took areas that was in close proximity that was in District 3 and put them in District 1. They have already done that with District 2. Everything on this side of 701 running all the way down. They came in and took that in close proximity and put it in District 1. Where else you gonna go get them from? That's what I'm asking. I don't know, Mr. Cardell. I got a motion on the floor to look at one more map, and I got a second. Is there any more discussion? You know, you can't have the cake and eat it too. You want it as similar as we get it, and that's what I'm trying to get it tonight. Right there. Any other discussion? All in favor of drawing one more map and we'll decide the time Friday in a few minutes. Raise your right hand. All opposed? 5-4. We'll look at a new map Friday.
I won't do that, I won't do that.
We can zoom.
Mr. Chairman, we're gonna make the final decision on Friday.
Yes, sir. I think you'll be happy. I really do. So what time Friday, we want to come back and convene?
The later the better for me. I have to work.
Yeah.
The later the better.
When do we have to have it completed?
That's 17. What time Friday? Mark said late. What time, 4, 5?
It needs to be after 5.
Okay.
Friday's busy, so I need to be there.
What time you close?
I close at 9, but I can get off by 5:30. 5:30 good.
5:30.
6 is good. I'm not pushing 5 this time.
Well, when do we need to have it completed by?
6 will be fine.
You better give me a call on the phone.
I'm gonna be in the bus taking our youth for a trip.
What time you leave?
5-ish.
Do it Monday. They can't do it tomorrow, Greg.
How come we can't do it Monday?
Yeah, I can't do tomorrow.
I ain't
No,
gonna be
I'll be here.
Can't do it Tuesday, 16th.
I ain't here next week. You remember we
How
made
long?
Oh, that's right, change my meeting.
Can we do it in the morning, 7 o'clock,
No,
When?
I'm not, I'm already
Do
committed.
when?
already.
6 o'clock?
Not tomorrow, no. I can do
I mean,
Friday.
Friday at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock.
Do you know how long it'll take her to do that?
Six,
Friday at 7 in the morning.
We have it tomorrow.
six, I do in the morning.
What time Friday morning, 7
She
o'clock?
said, no, I can't do nothing for you Friday morning at all.
I'm good
Well,
for Friday morning.
I say 6 o'clock in the evening, I can do.
Yeah, I can do 6 o'clock in the evening.
And evening,
On Friday?
that's all I can do.
How do you?
Hey, who said the game ready?
6 is fine.
Six, that's it, I can do that.
I can do it early in the morning on Friday.
I can do it morning.
I can't get off early.
About this.
Somebody told us now, we're gonna meet Friday, 12
6 o'clock
o'clock.
P.M.
Russian, 6 p.m. Friday.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Gillespie. Any discussion?
That's a point, right, sir?
Yeah.
You do the
All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
All opposed?
The guy has a question, Mr. Peterson.
Yes,
6 o'clock Friday evening.
is, this is a follow-up question on that. So when we meet on Friday, we have to finalize the map by Friday. Is that what we're saying?
We're gonna present one map when we leave here Friday.
Friday, we're gonna finalize. We have no more recess, we finalize the map.
Finalize. Friday, we leave here, you have a map.
So if what I'm asking, the question I'm asking, if the new map doesn't agree with what we want done, can you go back to map 2? Or do we have to settle on this
We're
map?
gonna have, look, Friday, we're gonna have 3 maps to look at.
Oh, so we,
Whatever the board wants to vote on.
okay, so that, okay, all maps will
Those 2
be,
are still in play.
everything will be included.
Yeah, it's just a.
What map that you voted for, 6?
So this will be map number 7.
Yeah.
8 or 9, I don't know. Okay, any other? Okay, this meeting is recessed till Friday at 6 o'clock. Thank y'all.
This conference will now be recorded.
I'm not sure.